we realized that normally there are 3 professionals who write very negative reports about mining to all the banks in the world. When you go to IFC, World Bank, you find a lot of conservationists, environmentalists, and biodiversity personnel. So these 3 people always write negative reports about mining to international finance institutions. So we as a company decided to bring them to our fold. Let us engage these practitioners so that we can see how we can get a win-win approach. So my parent company, Heidelberg Cement in Germany, decided to get in touch with all the topmost biodiversity, conservationists, and environmentalists in the world. So we met in Brussels and we decided to brainstorm. Out of the brainstorming, we decided to then localize some of the ideas. So they decided to, okay, let's Ghacem start in Africa. So I was selected to lead this project. And the project is simple. It's about we trying to leave a legacy for the environment. So that after 10 years, 15 years, when I leave Ghacem, I can just point to, this is what I did. So we decided that we're not going to do the normal corporate social responsibility pertaining to environment that everybody does. So we will do strange things, but at the end of the day, we're going to improve the environment tremendously. So we fashioned out a project we call Bird Life Project. The project is not about birds, but the name of the project is called Bird Life. Why we call it Bird Life is that when you improve biodiversity in the area, a lot of birds visit you. So if you have a house and you have trees and things around and you get visit of birds, that tells you that you have an eye for biodiversity. So that's why we call the project Bird Life, but it's not about birds. Now I'm going to explain to you what the project is all about. So, and what we did was that when they asked me to practicalize it in Ghana, I got in touch with all the biodiversity experts in Ghana. So I started from University of Ghana Biodiversity Department. I got in touch with Ghana Wildlife Society. I got in touch with Forestry Commission. I got in touch with all the NGOs that make a lot of noise against mining. So all these NGOs came together and we shared ideas. So you can see on the slide, these are a few objectives of the partnership that we did. So going back to my discussions, we realized that we have 2 cement plants. We have one in Ghana.The, we have one in Tama. And some of you don't know, Ghacem does mining in Ghana. We mine limestone. We mine aggregate. And my parent company is the biggest aggregate company in the whole world. So when you come to Heidelberg Cement, you have a lot of mining engineers, you have a lot of geologists and all that. So we have a limestone quarry in the Kobo area. So when you go there, we have an active quarry there. When you come to the Western region, we also have a quarry there. When you go to Western region, on the Jomoro, we also have another quarry there in Nawule. But we stopped because of some few geological complexities. So as part of the project, we need to do community sensitization. So you can see some of the communities that we go and talk to them. Now to the project. If you have a look, there, we realized that after getting engaged with these experts, we realized that there are we asked them that, look, come to our mine site, look around the area, do your research, and after that, what you find out, come back and advise us. So they brought in, we flew in experts from Kenya, from Germany, Professor Adamaka, from Legon, and all of them, they came back and they did baseline biodiversity around our quarry areas. And they came up with nice findings. They said there is a particular species of tree called Tabutella gentii. I've never heard it before. And this species is endemic in West Africa. It is found only in Ghana and Cameroon. And in Ghana, we used to have a lot, but they've chopped all of it. So if you can see this area where the red is located, they used to have Tabutella there, but they've chopped it. Now when you go to the Kobo area, going to Akosombo, there's few ones scattered around, which is also endemic. Now, how are we going to do to propagate this species? Then this is the challenge. So what we did was that, now, they say Ghana, we have only 2 experts in Tabutella in Ghana. There's one at Legon Botany Department, there's one in Kumasi Forest Institute. So I got in touch with them, then I asked them, please, come back and advise us how we are going to do so that we can increase this species so that in the next 10, 15 years, if you are looking for tabotella, I can tell you that when you go to maybe this area, you can find one. Now this is the challenge, and this is a plant that is very significant it's an indicator for research in biodiversity. And the whole of West Africa is only Ghana and Cameroon that has tabotella. And Ghana, I learned, is very good for, initially they were using it for charcoal. And I hear the charcoal that they were using, and it's when you use it for tilapia and meat, it gives you nice flavor. So they chopped all. So in moving forward, so you can see the various areas. Now, if you see, this is how the plant looks like. And you know something? Sometimes I think the academia have a way of preserving things. Not knowing the University of Ghana Botany Department. When you enter Botany Department, there's a quadrangle. They've planted this tabotella. This is the baby form of tabotella there, because they knew the significance and the importance of the tabotella species. So University of Ghana Legon have this plant. That's why I took this picture. So when you go to University of Ghana, when you enter Botany Department, there's a quadrangle, center. You see this plant at the center there, and they guard it seriously, because it's a very, very important plant. Now the challenge is that how do you get the seedlings for this project? And it flowers only somewhere around April once in a year, and it gives seed like 2 or 3. And trust me, if you when you monitor it and you lose it, that means you've lost it for the whole year. So this year I have lost it. So this project will have to extend. It was a 2 years project. This project will extend to next year, where when I'll start from March, we're going to pay forest guards who are going to sleep by. There's few of this tabotella at Yongwasi Forest Reserve and Sapasu Forest Reserve, just on Akosombo. There's a forest reserve on Akosombo enclave, and there's few of it. There's not even more than 10. So we're going to get forest guards who are going to sleep by these trees and get to seedlings. Otherwise, we will lose it for the whole year. This year already we've lost it. So this is what a tabotella species is about. And when you go online, the IUCN, the International Union of Conservation of Nature, tells you that, guys, anywhere you find this plant anywhere in the world, please protect it. It's I'm not a biodiversity expert, so I'll not pretend to be one. According to them, they say it's an important indicator of biodiversity anywhere you find yourself. So if you go to a forest and you don't find tabotella, it tells you the density of the forest. And apart from that, they use it for medicinal purposes, they use it for research purposes, and people are doing their PhD in tabotella. And there's only one guy. If you go online, just Google it online, you'll find what this plant is all about. So it's a plant that IUCN does not joke with it. And we in Ghana, we didn't see the importance, we're just cutting it. So this is our contribution to science in Ghana. And we also realized that, okay, now let's do another biodiversity project. So what we did was that, okay, you know what? Let's engage the students. And we normally target final year students who are doing mining, geology, environmental science, forestry, landscape architecture, entomology, and all that. So I visit all these universities in Ghana, where I explain a project we call Quarry Life Award. The Quarry Life Award is a very innovative way of promoting biodiversity in Ghana. And what is it all about? It runs in 22 countries in the world. And what we do is that, because of time, I will just be jumping. What we do is that the students send in proposals. We have jury of lecturers in Ghana who normally evaluate these proposals and pick the top. Initially it was 5, but this year I'm going for 6. And we pick 5 students. And when you send your proposal, you're supposed to add the budget. And I will audit the budget to see whether it's feasible. And after you are selected among the top 5, now this year to be top 6, we as a company will give you the student money. You come to our quarries, then you do research based on environment, biodiversity, restoration, reclamation. And when you come to my company, we don't call it reclamation, we call it restoration. The difference is that when you're talking about restoration, you're adding value to nature. So that at the end of the day, nature will say thank you. That's the difference between reclamation and restoration. So at my brand level, we don't talk about reclamation, we talk about restoration. So we open our quarries for students to come in and do research, which we fund. We pay for logistics, everything. And let me tell you some of the unique. Look, when you go to the website, WW Quarry Life Award, trust me, there is unique research from Ghanaian students that you cannot find anywhere in the world. I've posted all the research there. When you have time, you just go there, you click on Project Archive, click on Ghana, and look at the research. There are two research that has really touched me, that I've added to my engineering background. I will share with you only two of them. There was a guy who came up with the research on vermicompositing. You know, when you're doing backfilling, whatever in reclamation, you strip off the topsoil. You expose the subsoil. The subsoil has less nutrients, so you need to increase the value to get plants to grow again. This guy did simple work. What he did was that he introduced African worms to waste from domestic waste. He puts them in a bed, he tills them over, manages it, it becomes natural manure, and when you put it back to the subsoil, it increases the fertility by tenfold. And this boy had an award of, I think, 22,000 euros. I took him to from Holland to Czech Republic to take his award. There's also another research work that a Ghanaian guy did, and this work he's using it for his PhD in universities in the UK. What he did is that he had an alternative for geotextile. You know, when you're doing mining, we cut slopes and all textiles to stabilize the face. This guy was able to use local material called ensoy mat, the local form of it, and trust me well. And there were companies in Turkey and Israel who were all after this research, because when you get to Turkey and Israel, they don't have topsoil. It's all outcrops, or it's a very, very rocky terrain. So this is what, as a company, we are doing. And these are a few advantages we got around it, in terms of environment, in terms of social, in terms of community engagement. So what we want to share is that, mining companies should take these things very important, because now when you go to IFC, they now have a biodiversity desk. And if you look at the annual reports that we sent to IFC, the annual report we sent, there is this what we call PS5, Performance Standard 5. And in your Performance Standard 5, you're supposed to tell them what you are doing to say thank you, nature. So we might relax, but it will catch up with us, because it's now part of. And now if you go back, you realize that in PricewaterhouseCoopers, they even have a biodiversity desk now. So that when they give loans to mining companies, they are expected to say thank you, nature. So ladies and gentlemen, let me just end my presentation.
Well, thank you, Mr. Labi, Addo.